You know, when we look at elections, it's so easy to just focus on the winners and the losers. But today, we're going to go deeper. We are conducting a forensic analysis, really digging into the political soil of one specific constituency, Sanis in Nagaland, to understand the story behind a massive shift. This is about more than just numbers. It's about understanding the people, the patterns, and the long road that led to this one decisive outcome. Let's begin. Our story starts right here, in the Sanis constituency. This is a place that's really defined by its powerful tribal identity, primarily the Lotha Naga people. And like in so much of Nagaland, life here is deeply connected to the land, to the community, and to traditions that go back generations. But Sanis has something politically unique about it, something that makes it a fascinating case study for anyone interested in real governance. It has one of the most politically conscious, most engaged electorates in the entire country.
Just look at this number for a moment. 95.2%. That was the voter turnout in the 2023 Legislative Assembly election. Just let that sink in. This is not a place of political apathy. This is a community where almost every single eligible adult shows up to vote. So that brings us to our central question. In a place where everybody votes, what on earth causes a political landslide? What makes a highly aware electorate decide so overwhelmingly to change its mind?
To start unpacking that question, we have to first look at the mandate itself. You see, the 2023 election wasn't a close fight. It was a clear, unambiguous statement from the people of Sanis. The numbers, well, they tell a very stark story.
What really jumps out at you is the sheer scale of this victory. The NDPP-led alliance walked away with nearly 66% of the vote. The runner-up, the RJD, got just over 24%. And the Naga People's Front, the NPF, a party with deep historical roots in this region, was left with less than 8%. This wasn't just a win, it was a total consolidation of political power. The mandate couldn't have been clearer. Now, let's put this into perspective. We're talking about a pretty small electorate, just over 24,000 people. And a community that close-knit, a winning margin of over 41 percentage points is, well, it's monumental. This is a scheduled tribe reserve constituency where the political conversation is shaped by the hopes and the worries of the Lotha Naga community. Every vote here is personal. Every political decision is felt at the village level. But the story of 2023 didn't just start in 2023. To really get what happened, we need to go back in time. We have to perform an autopsy on the political trends of the last 20 years, because what happened here wasn't a sudden shock. It was the final result of a long, slow process. And as we do this, it's important to remember that our constitutional values are built on dignity and informed public speech. Understanding these trends isn't about blame, it's about responsible analysis. And this timeline, well, this is really the heart of the whole story. Back in 2003, the NBLF won this seat with a clear majority, over 50% of the vote. But then, look what happens. The erosion begins. By 2013, their support is down to just 18%. Then comes 2018, a total catastrophe. The party collapses to just over 2%. That slight uptick in 2023, honestly, it's statistically meaningless when you look at the 2-decade-long decline. This wasn't a loss. It was a slow-motion collapse.
And if that timeline didn't make it clear enough, this chart really shows you the scale of that collapse. On one side, you have 2003, where the NPF commanded the trust of half the electorate. On the other, 2023, where it's on the absolute fringes of political relevance. This journey, from being a majority party to a marginal player, is exactly what we're here to understand.
Okay, so what can we pull from all this? What are the patterns? First, there was a systematic long-term erosion of the NPF's core support. It just bled away, election after election. Second, you see a masterful consolidation of the opposition vote by the NDPP and its allies. They didn't just win, they united everyone else against the NPF. Third, and this is so important, the highly engaged voters of St. Carminus repeatedly approved this shift. They kept voting for it. And finally, you often had independent candidates splitting the vote, making it even easier for a consolidated force to win. The takeaway? This was a structural failure, not a one-off bad election.
All right, so understanding the problem, that's one thing. But what about a solution? How does a political party, after a decline like that, even begin to rebuild? Well, the path forward has to be structured. It has to be multi-pronged. We call it the Chaturmukha Doctrine, a blueprint for renewal.
This doctrine stands on 4 pillars that all have to work together. First, you've got an electoral strategy. That means precise targeting of voters and communities. Second, an organizational strategy to rebuild the party from the ground up, village by village. Third, a narrative strategy to craft a powerful message that actually connects with people's real problems. And fourth, a resource strategy to smartly leverage every single asset you have. You can't just do one of these things. All four have to move in harmony.
So let's drill down on just one of these pillars to see how it works. Let's talk about the narrative. A comeback is just impossible without a powerful story. The strategy here would be to reposition the NPF as the authentic voice of tribal identity and welfare. It means using facts to critique the incumbent on local issues, like roads and jobs. It means using the candidate's unique profile as a doctor to build trust around healthcare. And finally, it's about moving beyond just criticism and offering a positive, hopeful vision for the future of Sanis.
But here's the thing. At the end of the day, any political strategy is completely meaningless if it doesn't connect back to governance, to the real daily struggles of people. Vote percentages are just shadows. The substance is in addressing the grievances people carry. It's about translating strategy into dignity. And in today's India, that also means respecting people's privacy and their data, with their full consent, as our laws require. Governance has to be built on trust.
And this is what people in Sanis actually care about. The data couldn't be clearer. The most intense, most deeply felt issue, youth unemployment. Educated young people with no future where they live. Next, the state of rural roads, a daily frustration that hits their livelihoods, their safety. Then you have the perception of corruption, of favoritism in how things get done. And finally, simply getting access to basic health care. These aren't abstract policy debates. This is the lived reality for thousands of families.
And that really brings us to the core philosophy here, the central truth we can't afford to forget. It's so easy for politics to become a game of numbers. But behind every single percentage point is a person hoping for a better life. Behind every single vote is a grievance, a hope, a dream for their children. The whole purpose of political strategy, the only legitimate purpose, is to listen to those grievances and then build a system of governance that actually responds.
Which leaves us with this final question. In a place like Sanis, where 95% of the people are paying attention, you can't fool them. You can't rely on apathy to get by. Trust isn't something you just win on election day. It has to be earned, day in and day out over years. It's sustained not by promises, but by performance. The path back for any political party here or anywhere in our country is to understand that the voter is intelligent, is engaged, and is ultimately the master. The real challenge isn't just to win an election, it's to build a bond of trust that can stand the test of time. If you want to become a people-centric leader and uplift your constituency, get in touch with blueprintstrategies.ai at mgr@blueprintstrategies.ai or call 0804-204-1602. Purpose Beyond Politics.